Hello, my name's Brighton Quirk from Australian Card Kits. In our last video we had a look at building a simple card building that had a simple one-piece roof. Today we're going to be looking at how to do intersecting roof lines with two-piece roofs. So these are two very simple buildings here that demonstrate the concept. Basically what we want to work out how to do is find this angle on the piece of cardboard, so that when we're designing that up in our drawing package, we can draw up a piece that when cut out will fit perfectly snugly up against the existing roof. This is the layout for the kit building that we saw before. Here's roof piece number 1 and roof piece number 2. So what I'm going to do today is demonstrate how to find the correct geometry for this roof piece here. So when this is cut out and folded up, it will intersect quite nicely with the first roof piece, which has already been folded up. First we'll delete our existing roofs. Okay, now we're ready to start. Roof piece number 1 is a simple square single piece folded roof. And in order to design that, we only need two pieces of information. The first piece of information we need is its width, which we can get from the width of the main wall of the building. The second piece of information we need is its depth. Now the depth we can find from the length of this top roof line here. So because it's got two edges, I'll get both edges. And we'll then straighten these lines out. Take care when you're rotating them that you're not changing their length, because we're using these lines as measuring devices. So we'll line them on top of each other. So now we know how wide the roof has to be and also how deep the roof has to be. So we can take our square tool and use it to create both edges of the roof. Now this building has a veranda over the front bit, and if we want to include that, we need to know how wide the veranda is. Now if we have a look at the building here, you can see that we've got the veranda sitting above this porch area here. So it's that wall, the wall with the door and the main window, that we have to use as a reference for the length of the veranda. So here's that wall there, and we'll actually make it a little bit shorter than the wall. We'll make it about that size there, so our veranda can be about that size. We can then put that on our first roof piece. Shift that up into position, and that's the basic geometry for the first roof piece. Now we've created roof piece number 1, we need to go about creating roof piece number 2. Having a look at the picture here, we can see that roof piece number 2 is going to rest along the roof piece number 1 with a diagonal intersection here. So how are we going to go about creating this? Let's start with the easiest information that we can find. That is this length here, the length of these two bits. That's going to be very easy to find because it's going to be precisely the same length as the top of this wall. Going back to our layout here, we can trace these lengths quite easily. And we can lay them flat. Alright, so let's have a look at what else we need to find. The other length that's going to be quite easy to find is this length here, because that's going to be the same length as this wall. Let's give that a go. Here's the wall. Here's its length. We'll rotate that around. And we need to find that same length on the other side. In this case, they're the same length because the buildings are symmetrical. This part of the building is symmetrical, but that's not necessarily always the case. So we'll just trace that one again. Okay, now a slightly harder problem is how to find the length of this top ridge line. Now, because there's no wall that this ridge line directly sits on, unlike these lines here, we have to do a little bit of hunting to find the right length. So the length here is composed of two separate parts. There is the first length here, which it shares, and there's also a little extra bit here at the top. Now it turns out that that length there is in fact the same as the distance between the apex of this wall and the end of that wall there. So what we can do in our layout here is find the length between that wall here and the bottom of that apex, which is this length here. If we then move this over here and rest that on top of these lengths, we'll find that we're actually able to quite nicely calculate the length of this top ridge line. So the correct length is actually the wall length plus half of this wall length, which we've then laid out here. Now the next thing we need to know is what we're going to do about this line here. Now it turns out that because this line here and this line here are parallel, the correct intersection line, so that when it's cut out it'll rest quite nicely flush with the roof piece number 1, is actually just a straight line between that point and that point. So if we go over to our graphics package and put a straight line in here and here, we find that we get the correct shape for that roof piece. Okay, now we've got the basic geometry laid out, we're nearly finished. All we have to do is put some textures in. So this roof here, in the original kit, we had as a tile pattern, and we're going to add that tile pattern back in. So we'll add clay tiles, copy the fill there, copy the fill here. Now we need to rotate these at 90 degrees. Okay, and the roof there, we'll make that, let's make that, in order to rotate that back to 0. Alright, perhaps we could do a few other little nifty bits, maybe put some capping in, some dark grey capping. It may be representative of some LED flashing. And there we go. So let's see how that compares with our original model. Here's a PDF of the original building kit. And you can see we've reproduced the angles of this piece quite nicely. We've got the dimensions of piece number 1 correct. We've changed the textures a little bit, but that's okay. So basically anytime you've got a building that has different wings or different parts of the building. You need intersecting roof lines. The key point to remember is you need to start with the information that you know, like the lengths and distances of the existing walls, and then start working out what you don't know, like adding up all the different components to get the roof line length. And then once you've done that, you'll often find that the missing angle that you're looking for can be deduced simply by drawing a straight line between 2 points that you already know. Thank you very much for watching. Next week I'll be taking a look at photographing objects like windows and doors in order to use them as objects on new buildings. Thank you.